I guess maybe my perception was spoiled by social media where it's more on sexualized side.
Been a lot of times where I've just gone out and it's just been like no sexual, just me in a hood existing. There is a large part that's pretty sexual. It's who you're attracted to
Yeah.
and who you have sex with.
I think my take in public spaces or semi-public spaces of a hood enables a degree of fun that I would not consider otherwise.
To me, like the way people present themselves in a pup hood sometimes can be very attractive to me and turn me on a lot. I think there is a degree of submissiveness to it that turns me on. If I see someone who maybe not typically I would hook up with has a hood on, something about it changes the way I'm attracted to them. They're a little bit like I want to like use them and like dominate them.
Hello everyone, I'm Azamat, the founder of Friend of Dorothy, and today we have a very special guest, a representative of the gay pup community, Pup Moto and pup-curious.
Yeah.
Did I say it right?
Yeah,
I'm Chaos, he's Moto.
Welcome guys, so happy to have you here.
very happy to be here. Thank you for having us on.
Thank you. Yeah.
So
First time being on a podcast.
Awesome. So for our listeners, our guests are wearing hoods. Yeah, that's why maybe you can hear them a little bit differently. So first of all, thank you so much for coming. Me personally, and all of our listeners and viewers are very eager to learn about your community, to learn all the fun part and challenges. And for anyone who is new to this, like who want to learn more about where to start. Also, I think what I've learned about myself. Sometimes when you're new to the topic, I'm a little bit nervous about how to make the question correct. So please do correct me if maybe I'm in the gray zone or in the red zone of asking the questions
Absolutely.
not correct or inappropriately.
Yeah. Thank you for being mindful of that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good. I think the first kind of question is we usually ask our guests to tell us a little bit more about themselves. Who's going to start?
I can go.
Okay.
So I grew up in New Jersey in the US. I grew up with a single mom. I never knew my dad at all. She worked the equivalent of like 2 or 3 jobs, so she was always kind of gone. She was a nurse. She's very progressive though. She's always been very accepting and loving. My life is not the same as what you see around you, like single mom and gay child is like not common, or at least wasn't common when I was growing up. I came out when I was about 17. Again, my mom was pretty accepting, which I'm very grateful for.
Yeah.
After that, I went to college in New Jersey, and then I moved out to San Francisco, and I've been there since.
Yeah. When did you realize that you were gay?
I definitely knew I was gay when I was like in middle school, like around probably 12 or 13,
Yeah.
I think.
And how was the coming out story for you?
It's kind of funny. I came out because I needed an STD test. And my mom, I knew she was going to ask, well, who am I, hooking up with? And I was like, guys. And she's like, oh, okay. Well, we got to take you to Planned Parenthood. That's also how we found out that my doctor is kind of homophobic.
Oh my God.
This was around the time, too, when PrEP was becoming, like, widely accessible. I asked him to go on PrEP, and he didn't know what it was.
Oh my
and
God.
He seemed a little scared that I asked that question, and then
Yeah.
he sent, like, some intern in to handle it instead. And then I was like, I don't like that, what he just did.
It doesn't sit well.
Saddening, yeah.
Yeah.
So we switched my doctor, and I started seeing this really cool lady.
Your mom, when you came out, was she worried? What was her reaction?
I think her first reaction was she was like, oh my God, you're going to get AIDS and die.
But what year was that?
It was probably like 2014 or 2015. She said that at first, and then I think she was like, it's okay. Like, we have a couple of gay family members as well, so it's
Okay.
not something out of like, and my mom is very like, I'm her only kid, and she really wanted to have a child, so she's like, I don't really care. I'm happy that you're healthy.
Yeah.
Or I want you to be healthy. She wanted me to get tested like immediately too, because she was really nervous that I'd have something bad.
Yeah, of course. She's caring mom.
Yeah. She said that out of love. I can't imagine like if you had anything and if what would happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
I later on explained to her that was kind of not a great thing to say,
Yeah.
like just because I'm gay doesn't mean I'm going to catch Agent's eye, especially nowadays. And I think she was a nurse who went to nursing school in like the 80s, and so that was the common knowledge of like if you're gay, you're at a very high risk of catching HIV and
Of
becoming
course.
very sick, and so I know she had like a very vivid memory of all of that when she was working in the hospital, and I think that's just like her reaction. And I still told her, like, as a nurse, you should probably also still be keeping your knowledge up to date and how that's not the situation anymore. And
Yeah.
so I think nowadays she's much more well read up on what's going on.
Of course.
Yeah.
Good. Mozo, what's your story?
Well, I'll get to it. My mom had almost the same reaction too, actually. It's startling, but I guess it's understandable for people who were around and, listening or watching the news in the 80s and 90s. So I guess I understand it. Yeah, I was born in Canada, in the Toronto area, and spent the earlier part of my childhood there. My family is a little bit more conservative, and so the coming out story was a little bit different. I first realized I was gay around puberty, right? Which I was kind of early for me, but 9 or 10 or something like that. Then started the kind of long, gradual coming out process around 13 or so, with my first hookup and making my first gay friend. And from there, learning to be more open with my closer friends. I was largely, I guess, straight passing for the first part of my life. And then...
So you have to come out as gay.
Yeah. And actually, it sucks sometimes. I mean, I meet people in certain contexts, and they still think that I'm straight, which is kind of frustrating when you're trying to make connections and make friends with people. But anyway, it was kind of a long, gradual coming out, and my friends were immensely supportive, and I remain thankful and grateful for that. And the family, by and large, has been. It hasn't been perfect, obviously. I think anyone who's got a more conservative family will understand that it doesn't always go great. But you give people time, and they come around eventually. And then somewhere along the way, I moved to the U.S. and have been pretty happy. It's a lot easier to live as an openly gay man when you're thousands of miles away from family. So.
Oh, yeah, I agree. So I'm originally from Kazakhstan.
Okay.
And I moved to the US when I was 24. Again, it's just not to be embarrassment to my family and just to escape.
Yeah.
In the US, I felt way more liberated when I studied there and came out to them when I was 33.
Yeah.
I totally understand that when you're living a bit far, it feels a bit, you get more air
Yes.
and freedom to
Yes.
be yourself.
Yes.
But yeah, I totally get it. What happened next? Chaos, your turn. So after coming out, what was your life like?
Honestly, like, coming out to my mom was a big relief, but it didn't change much in my day-to-day life. When I was in high school, like, I was the only gay person I knew, so there was no representation. Even if I did live in, like, a pretty accepting area, nobody knew how to handle that. Nobody knew what to do with someone who was gay, and so it was so foreign to them, and it made me feel very isolated. That's a common thing that a lot of gay people experience nowadays. Like, it's still, growing up was very isolating because they didn't know anyone else who they shared that with. So as I got older, it got better. It got way better in college because everyone was way less, like, cared about who you were. Also, I went to school very close to New York, so I got to go to New York on the weekends and be myself all the time. And then when I moved to San Francisco, I felt this wave of, like, relief. In San Francisco, it's so heavily gay, and so much of the population of the city is like LGBT that you experience what it would be like to be in the majority of people that I think straight people get to enjoy every day. And there's something very therapeutic about that because it's just like never thinking about, do I need to like hide myself? Do I need to change how I'm speaking to people. You could go weeks without talking to a straight person, which I think is amazing. Some people think something wrong with that, but I usually tell them like, well, why is it okay that straight people can go weeks without talking to a gay person?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just flipping the script a little bit and being like, well, this is what it's like.
You guys met in San Francisco, right?
Yeah. We met in San Francisco, and I'll share that I had a very similar feeling moving there as well. It was a real kind of transformation, being able to live in a place with so many other people like me. It was transformative. It just kind of took a lot of the day-to-day stresses out.
Yeah.
Having to watch out for what you say or how you act or what you wear was just a relief.
Yeah. And what was your journey in defining your tribe, right? So
I've always had a little bit of a identity crisis with what tribe I fit into. Through my childhood, because of different psychiatric medications, gained and lost weight very quickly, and so I've always been very self-conscious of like my body type, and I think a lot of other LGBT people share that. I think that as I've gotten more confident in who I am, honestly, the tribes have become less of important to me. I definitely fall into the skinny mid-20s Twinkie group. I don't really care for that label, but that's what people say to me.
because it doesn't identify you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What about yourself?
I'll agree there. It feels like a lot of these labels are just really flattening. I'm sort of the same as a younger person. I struggled with weight issues as well, too, and I was substantially larger than I am now. That messes with your head for sure. My interests are maybe not that common, at least in the mainstream gay community. I'm really into motorcycles and like mechanical stuff. I don't really get to meet a lot of other gay people who have the same set of interests. I think what I've learned is that it's not so much the tribes that matter, it's the people that you meet.
I think one of the things we talk about, though, is how there's a lot of pups who are into like motorcycles and motorcycle gear, which I was shocked to learn. There's this huge overlap between like the people who have a fetish for like moto gear and like the people who wear pup hoods and are into pup play.
Yeah.
There's a really large overlap.
So how did you then find pup community? What was your journey like?
Yeah, mine's pretty interesting. So there's this thing called AIDS Life Cycle. It's a bike ride that happened every year for the last 20-something, 30-something years that starts in San Francisco, and then over the course of 7 days, we ride to Los Angeles. It's very intense. It's about 100 miles a day, give or take. It raises a ton of money, several $1 million for HIV/AIDS research. This year was actually the last year. I feel like it was kind of like a rite of passage to be a gay in San Francisco, is you got to do life cycle at least once. And I'm like, okay, I think I need to do it. And you can join a team that you collectively raise like a certain amount. I really wanted to join the most fun team.
Because you want to have a fun experience, right?
Yeah, so I joined a team called Pedal Pups, which is very sex positive. We hosted like lots of events at leather bars. I joined Pedal Pups and I was like, I'm not a pup, but I do want like a very fun, playful team.
Yeah.
One of the things I learned about pups is if there's pups around, you usually could be a little bit more relaxed, or you could be more confident knowing they're probably more open to more like sexual exploration ideas, different types of kinks and fetishes than a typical person would.
Yeah.
So when I joined, I realized like I might want to be a pup. I started researching it more and it just took off from there.
Mine is, I'm a much younger pup. I got into it when we met. At first with a little bit of trepidation, but it's been a lot of fun. I'm still pretty early in my journey.
So far, what I've learned is that it's a very open-minded, friendly community. And we haven't even started talking about sexual part of it or psychological part of it.
I think that was really what pulled me into it, is that when I started seeing more pups, and if I saw like a group of them hanging out, I'd probably gravitate closer to them because I knew no one's going to be looking at me because they're looking at the pups, right? If these people are out here doing things and not caring what other people think, then I feel like it's very safe for me to be there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I totally see that. So, shifting the gear, so what does it mean to be a pup? Like, I really want to know kind of all the starter pack.
My whole thing is being very bright and visible and loud and a little bit in your face. And I think that being a pup with a bright orange hood is very like on brand for that.
Yeah. I had a theory or hypothesis, actually, it's vice versa. You are very maybe reserved and calm person, and then when you are wearing the gear, that's when it opens up. You are feeling more comfortable, so maybe inner you shows up. Is it like that?
So the first time I went to a bar and kept my hood on the entire night, it felt like I was able to redo what it's like for me to be in a social space, forget kind of some of my anxieties, and feel very proud about who I am. And there's this kind of anonymity to it, people not knowing who you are, and you have a lot of control over how people perceive you. And so it takes away that prejudgment people do when they first look at you and they just take like a first impression.
So it's very liberating.
I think so, yeah.
So a few things comes to my mind. First one, I hope it's not anyhow offensive, a drag queen. So for example, when you are changing into a drag and you look at yourself in the mirror like, oh my God, this is like another person. And then I can give that person a name, I can give that a person character and behave like that and be that person. Does it feel similar?
First of all, pups and drag queens are always best friends. Like,
okay.
Drag queens love pups.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of similarity in the common like headspace that someone would get into when they're entering into another persona. I think some people might argue that drag and even being a pup is their only identity. I know a couple of people say I'm a pup all the time with hood on or hood off, and other people will say I put it on and then like when I take it off, it's no longer who I am. And I think both are very valid ways of experiencing. I think that it's true that the way you step into a headspace or the way you identify yourself and present yourself shares a commonality with both. I will say that drag queens definitely put a lot more effort into their outfits. I don't think they are the same thing. I don't think it's the same experience, but I think there's a lot of common
overlap in terms of mental, psychological state that you're in. Moto, is that a form of protest for you personally?
I think that's an aspect of it, sure. Yeah. It feels like in this era of almost hyper-sanitized, like super corporate pride, it feels like this is a little bit more of a way to kind of not get in people's faces, but just to, step on the line just a little bit and continue to push for more acceptance and more open attitudes. So yeah, a little bit, yes.
I also want to say on top of that, like our ever more algorithmically curated daily lives of social media and what we see every day. I started posting on Instagram and I want to see if I can get this like recommended to people and be shown in this algorithm that tends to bias away from anything that's not family friendly, heterosexual, whatever, because this is like way outside of that heteronormativity. Because pup play for a while was a very niche community and now it's exploding with people. I'm very nerdy and I was like, maybe I can get this thing to take off on Instagram and shown to a lot of people and be used as like a tool to teach people about accepting others.
I guess my next question would be, do you know why it's pups? Why not kittens? Why not cubs?
I think there is some portion of being handled by someone, or that is a big part of it, like having a handler in this sub-dom roleplay. I don't know if we do it that way at all. Whose dom relationship changes daily.
Okay.
But I think there's a large part of it really lean into having like a dominant handler and like being collared to someone and having an alpha. I think like in the real world, like actual dogs, you have like a owner and someone who takes care of the dog and the dog obeys the owner. And I think that kind of translated a little bit into the pup world.
Do I understand that handler is basically the owner of pup?
Yeah, I think a handler, I know it's not necessarily someone they're in a relationship with. It can be, and sometimes it is. But a handler is someone who is like in control of the pup and someone who approves or disapproves what the pup does, and the pup like looks to them for instruction and guidance.
So far, everything what you educated us on was on social aspect, on social acceptance, on the culture, but nothing about it was sexual
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
Because I guess maybe my perception was spoiled by social media where it's a bit more on sexualized side. But tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm trying to better understand. Is it like social parts, how you present yourself when you are having fun at a gay bar? Is it like 80% that and 20% in bed? Or it's like 50-50?
I think it is pretty 50-50 for me.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of times where I've just gone out and it's just been like no sexual, just me in a hood existing. There is a large part that's pretty sexual. It's who you're attracted to
Yeah.
and who you have sex with. And so I think being a pup like doesn't have to be inherently sexual, but it can just as well in its own right.
I think my take, I think at least in public spaces or semi-public spaces of a hood enables a degree of fun that would otherwise, that I would not consider otherwise.
Yeah, I totally understand.
Absolutely.
My next question, so I'm single and I'm open to dating, and I'm a little bit struggling in terms of maybe finding the right people when I match on apps like Hinge, for example. And then I asked ChatGPT to give me an idea of absolute number of potential single gay guys. And it's quite interesting that not only we as gay community are a minority, right? But then we start, if you add more filters like age, for example, right?
Yes.
And then are you top? Are you bottom? Etc. Etc. So you kind of narrow down. It's just like quite a small amount of people. And then I was wondering if you go into the kinks, right? Or different sub-tribes, in this case, pups, right? And then inside of pups, I'm sure you have your own divisions, right? Into like, for example, pup or handler, right? So it kind of narrows down the amount of people that you could potentially meet.
Classically, pups have been very niche and very small community, but I think it's been exploding in the past few years, especially during the pandemic. So I think that's changing.
And I also think that maybe not necessarily for everyone, but you can date someone who is not a pup, and then you have your pup community to do the things you want to do there. I don't know that I would necessarily filter that way.
Yeah.
I mean, how much does that matter to you?
I didn't force you to become a pup.
No, that's true.
No.
Actually, yeah.
We went to the store, and he's like, "Should I buy a hood?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I'd never wanted to force him to do anything.
No, absolutely
So
not.
you met not in the community event?
No.
Okay. That's
He cruised me at a coffee shop.
Oh, that's so sweet. Okay. And then tell me this story. How did you meet and how did you learn? How did you come out? Do you have to come out every time when you meet someone new that you're a pup?
So I saw him at a coffee shop.
I was kidding, by the way. I cruised him.
Okay.
For the record.
I saw him at a coffee shop, and I'm very... despite my name and like how I kind of market myself as a pup, in everyday life I'm pretty shy and like it takes a while for me to warm up. I saw him at the coffee shop and I said to my friend, like, "Wow, he's really hot," but then I like didn't go up to him at all. And I found him on Grindr later, and then that's when we and then like we went to hook up, and then he invited me back. We got dinner, and then we like hooked up more, and just more dates. And then he kept asking me to stay at his place, and I was like, "No, I don't." I don't want this to, I was like, I don't want this to become a thing. And then it became a thing. I was actually nervous because he's pretty hot, in my opinion. And that makes me nervous because I'm like, well, the hot ones run away. And I didn't want to, like, get my heart
the
broken.
feelings. Yeah.
But he kept pushing.
That's sweet.
And then I was like, okay, yeah, let's do it.
And at what points did you share that you're part of a pup community?
I think... I wanted to take you to one of our roughs. Is that what it was?
It was on your Grindr profile.
Oh. Yeah.
So you didn't really even have to
so
tell
it was
me.
up front then. Yeah.
It wasn't much of a surprise.
And at what point did you introduce it to your life?
Yeah, well, I guess probably when we did that rough with the lube wrestling. right?
Yep.
Yep. We got into an inflatable pool filled with lube and wrestled.
Yeah.
Although I guess...
Sorry, that was event or?
Yes, it was an
I
event.
can explain it.
Yes.
Okay.
He'll do a better job.
For AIDS Life Cycle, we did a monthly fundraiser, and our most popular event that we did every year was lube wrestling, where we get a little blow-up kiddie pool and fill it with a bunch of like fisting lube, like very thick, like goopy lube. It would be pups and hoods just wrestling in the lube for everybody to watch, and you know, people could pay like $20 to pour like a cup of lube on them, and it was very, very popular. Like, it raised a ton of money every time we did it. After we started dating, I wanted to wrestle each other. We wrestled each other the second time we did it, but the first time we didn't get to wrestle. But I wanted him to have a hood if he was going to wrestle. That was just like one of my things. I wasn't forcing him to become a pup, but I was like, just if you're wrestling me for the photos.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And that's what was your first introduction to the culture?
Yeah, it was there when I put my hood on in public for the first time.
Okay, and how did you feel?
I guess in a way liberated, right? Certainly more free. I enjoyed the way that we connected and continue to when we have our hoods on. It's a bit of a different dynamic. And
do you feel you're getting into, maybe I'm repeating myself, into a different persona, or it's like you but a little bit more free?
A little bit, yeah. I think with the hood on, it's black. It's a little bit darker, I think. My baseline personality is not really like that, but I like to step into that role a little bit with the hood on. Yeah.
So it's not like top or bottom, right? In terms of like, you are pup, you are handler. It's not like that.
It really depends. There is more of a classic, like, you have a handler with no hood who has a pup as their like kind of submissive role.
Yep.
But that is not as common as I thought it was.
Yeah.
You can just make up how you want it to work, and it's just like how every relationship is kind of different.
Yeah.
It really depends on the people involved and like what do they want and how do they connect with each other. I don't think there's a standardization to it at all. We don't have much of a sub-dom dynamic. Sometimes we play with it a little bit though on social media because people like that stuff. But it's in real life, it's not very sub-dom. It's really like equal footing.
So it's all very... you define the rules basically. Yeah.
I agree. You choose your own adventure. I think that's a great way to put it.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah. So far, I see a lot of psychological dynamic in terms of being a bit more open with each other. My question would be on sexual side, because how does that work in terms of, do you get sexually aroused from visibility of another person in a hood? I think people in BDSM, when they try to, like, or leather or latex, when they try to sexualize mask features and femme features, I see visual. And do you understand, for you it's on mental level connection that can then grow into sexual?
I think there's some truth to that. It is very different from pup to pup and person to person. I guess, to me, like, the way people present themselves in a pup hood sometimes can be very attractive to me and turn me on a lot. I think there is a degree of submissiveness to it that turns me on. If I see someone who maybe not typically I would hook up with has a hood on, something about it changes the way I'm attracted to them. They're a little bit like, I want to like use them and like dominate them. But it can go the other way too. If I'm trying to be in like a submissive role and like they're kind of like a muscly person, that's also like really attractive to me. I think if anything, at least in my experience, it's just a component of their like visual and like sexual like presentation. It can really transform how they are in my eyes of like attractiveness, or like in sexual arousal, not necessarily attractiveness. And I know a lot of times pups will match up the color of their hood to like a hanky code color.
Okay, got it.
Mine is orange, means like anything.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of like limits. Like, I like to do whatever. And so I think orange is a very fitting color, just in every way to me. And it can be used as a very powerful accent or feature of their sexual being.
I mean, I'll just say that he looks pretty fucking hot with the hood off and with the hood on.
Yeah. So
The viewers may not realize, actually, there's like a whole different person underneath. I find it very attractive.
Oh yeah,
with the hood on. I'm not sure what it is. Yes.
I've gotten some nasty comments on social media before about they have a hood on because they're hiding their ugly face, and I'm like,
Yeah, so if those people
they have
knew,
no idea.
they have no
Like,
idea. They have no idea.
Some of the
Yeah.
people who wear hoods are so hot, like without the hood on as well. It has nothing to do with hiding your face.
you just described me that it gives, like with color coding and with just even being a pup, it gives a bit more information to the outer world. When you were telling about like handkerchief code, it's like imagine that we were all like sitting in a bar and all of us had these tags that like your grinder has, like for example, top or bottom or like into this. So it's like more visible to others, and that kind of gives a code to connect with you straight away. Kind of.
Yeah. I think being gay in general, there's a lot of barriers to feeling comfortable and open and finding a partner. And I definitely think, not always, but it can be used as a way to break down one of the barriers. Like, I'm into this, and you don't have to, like, waste time figuring out, like, what they're into and stuff. And I think that's definitely become, like, a common tool that a lot of LGBT people use, because it is so difficult to find a partner sometimes because there's not as many LGBT people as there are straight people, and it's an optimization.
Yeah. So for someone who is very new to pop culture and wants to try, what would be your tips?
I would just say attend like a pup event.
Okay.
There's really no requirement to call yourself a pup. The only requirement is to be accepting of the other pups. If someone wanted to really get into it, I would say maybe figure out, do you have a color you're into that you want to try on? I know I've helped name a couple pups. Like, sometimes people have trouble picking their name, but usually what I say is it'll come to you. It's something that makes sense. I wasn't named for a while, but I have a lot of friends, especially one, my friend Matt, who always just said he's chaos, like, that's chaos. And when he said it to me once, I was like, oh, that's a perfect pup name. And I think it fits into the kind of the orangeness of being really loud and bright and in your face. And like for Moto's, he's not very much of a spotlight person.
No.
Yeah. He likes to be less as visible, which is interesting because I'm very visible and he's always right next to me. So it's kind of funny, like the dynamic it has.
Yeah.
When we were picking out his hood, he was like, I want red. I'm like, you can't get red because everybody has red.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Red is common?
Sure.
red is the most
Red is pretty
popular
common,
color.
yeah.
Yeah, and blue is the second most popular.
Yep.
Okay.
And I said, I think black, like you would do black, especially because you don't really enjoy being super visible. And I think it fits well. He likes to wear a lot of black clothes.
I do.
So I was like, I think it fits pretty well with what you present yourself as. I really do think it is a choose your own adventure. When you see something that feels right, that's what you should go with.
Yeah.
There's no set of rules that you have to follow. There's suggestions and like suggestive guidelines. Like if you want to be a little bit more dominant, you might get like more a reddish color, or if you want to be more submissive, blue is sometimes be more. But this is not hard set in code. I actually got mine at Mr. S, and I was in there not looking for a pup hood.
Yeah.
And I just saw it on like a discount return rack, and I was like, that's perfect.
Yeah.
That just makes a lot of sense.
Of course. And how do usually handlers look like?
I would say in like the classic sense, probably handlers will resemble more of a Leatherman kind of style. It's pretty common to see this kind of dommy, leathery, muscular like man who wants to be like dominant to a pup.
Yeah.
That's definitely the classic.
Yeah. Speaking of sexual relationships, how often the hoods are out compared to not out?
I actually don't think we wear them that often when we're having sex.
Yeah, not that often.
In private.
Yeah.
But we do shoot a lot of content, and hoods are always on for that. It started out first as well, just to cover face, but it started being that is the brand. We are like pups hooking up. I don't think we wear them that much when we are in private. We have before. I think we have. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I know there's a lot of people who do like hooking up in their hoods. I've had many other hookups that have been in hoods, and it's very hot. Also, like how comfortable you are. Like some people can wear their hoods for hours, and some people are like, I can't take this. It's too hot. I've gotten better as time has gone on. Like I've gotten really good at just tolerating like how long I can wear it, and like the itchiness sometimes on my face. It's become something that's very part of me.
Are there phases when you fall out with your love to pop culture?
In general, sometimes I have identity crisis, like here and there, and I'm like, I don't really know what my goal is. Kind of had to take a moment to like recenter and be like, okay, like this is why I started. I want to be kind of visible, and I want to have a voice. That reminds me like where I'm heading, and also just like being a part of a community as well that's very accepting. I'm pretty ADHD, so things pretty easily become uninteresting to me. I definitely try to keep myself, there's a reason why I'm doing this, and I need to like rise above my like pretty severe ADHD, which like this is boring now, you know?
I feel like you are doing OnlyFans, right?
Yeah, OnlyFans and just for fans.
Yeah. When you are maybe already associated so much with your branding, sometimes I could totally see that there's a risk that you are overdoing it and it stops being a pleasure. It's more like for content, right? And maybe, especially it's too niche and people are demanding more of it.
I've battled with that a couple times. Sometimes you're like, I have to produce something. I need to get something out. I need to edit this thing. And sometimes it calls into question like what my goal is. I think it's not really black and white. I'm constantly like evaluating what I want to get out of it and how I'm doing it. But I think at times, why did I do this? Why am I doing this again? Like, why am I putting myself through this? And I think you have to remind yourself like what your goal is.
Yeah.
And like what you're trying to get out of it. There's definitely been times where I'm like, this is a lot, and this is like a second full-time job almost, but I really love this, and in the end I'm gonna have something that I'm very happy with, and like in terms of like producing things for OnlyFans and Just for Fans, like it is a moment where I get to explore my creative side and like making like something that looks really hot. Like I love those clips that really catch your attention. I think it's really fun to be able to explore that.
Yeah, I can see that.
I've been sober for the past like half year, and it's been really interesting like going to clubs sober. Like it's very anxiety inducing because I forget how to socialize.
Yeah.
And I think that has also been part of my remember why you're here, and remember you're capable of being social and like excited and without having a lot of substances in you. And so that has been like a part of my journey of sticking to my goal, because sometimes I'm like, I don't know why I do this anymore. Like it's not exciting to me. Like I used to do this when I was high and it was so fun, but now I'm like, nah, that's not what my goal is about. My goal is about being visible and having a voice.
Actually, that's a quite important question with many fetishes, that it can be sometimes only enjoyable when you are not sober.
Yeah, I think that is unfortunately pretty true. I also don't judge people for having a drug that they like to use.
Yeah.
I think it's true, like some people aren't able to enjoy it unless they are under the influence, and that's unfortunately like pretty common in life, and especially in the LGBT community where sometimes drugs are very heavily used. Yeah. And I do find myself feeling very, I'm not into this at all right now, like this event I'm at, like I don't like want to be here sober. Yeah. And in my personal journey, I found that I guess sometimes I can't handle it and I shouldn't put myself through that. And I think there should be more around like how are we supporting the people who are seeking help, and how are we giving people the information they need to know if they need to seek help.
Yeah, 100%. And I guess also educate people and give more information on where can they get that help.
It has also been great to see more and more sober-friendly spaces for going out and for kink and things of that sort. So that's been encouraging.
Yeah.
I think that helps a lot.
Can you give me an example of what could it look like? For example, for pup community, what could be sober, fun experience?
I think there is some pups who are like, this is part of my sober journey, is like becoming a pup. That is a method that people use to keep themselves like on track of not needing to use drugs and stuff. It's one tool people can use to keep themselves involved in a community that they otherwise might want to use drugs in. It's not to say like the pup community you need to use drugs to be in, but I definitely think I've met a lot of sober pups compared to like the average like club goer.
Yeah.
I think just the headspace and the activity of being a pup is so like dopamine fueled that it doesn't need as many drugs sometimes.
I think this cycling event that you mentioned today at the podcast, that's a very healthy way to also get people together for a good journey and for a good goal, right?
It is. It's a sober event, in fact, officially. Yeah, and it's true. It's actually, I think we forget, but there's lots of ways to meet other gay people.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a club. It doesn't have to be a bar. It doesn't have to be somewhere where there's an expectation or sort of a lot of substance use. You volunteer somewhere and you meet a lot of other great people. There's a lot of ways to make those connections. Yeah, and I think the ride was really good for that. I mean, I've made plenty of really fantastic friends in the 6 years that I've done that ride.
The ride is officially completely sober. Like, there's no drugs or alcohol allowed on it. You're not allowed to go out afterwards. Like, you can get kicked off the ride. Like, it is very strictly sober.
Yeah.
And I think the amount that you ride the bike, you get such runner's high from it. I think it is a naturally, like, you get a natural high out of it in such an amazing way. That it's actually kind of sad that it's ended, but they're starting smaller ones, which is exciting as well.
Yeah, very good.
All right. Chaos Moto, that was a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming, for sharing your wisdom, experiences, educating us. Thank you for coming over.
Thank you so much for having us. Yeah, thank you. This has been great.